Hi everyone, just wanted to talk a bit about embroidery. Embroidery is a great way of being able to make fabric more interesting and prettier and kind of renew old items of clothing. And if you wanted to mend something that you really loved but weren't able to wear anymore, it's a way of mending as well, and then you can always embroider on the top to make it a bit nicer. So I'm going to go through some basic stitches to get you going. If you need any of the equipment, let us know. We've got lots and lots of thread in the office, lots of different colours, so we can always provide you with thread if nothing else. But I'm just going to show you a couple of things which you might be interested in as examples. So this is a pair of trousers that my little girl absolutely loved and wore to bits, basically. You can see she's gone through them again, but I decided I was going to stitch these patchwork pieces on, and I did it really roughly. I kind of wanted it to look a bit messy, and then I added in some extra leaves and flowers and petals. So again, on this side you can see I've gone really roughly around the edge, and then I've added in all these flowers and leaves going all the way up here. The other item, my jeans, which I've actually got on at the minute. So just here is a massive hole because I used to carry my phone in my pocket and it made a big hole just here. So I've mended the hole, and I had done a transfer of this butterfly over the top, and then I added another butterfly. I might do a bit more at some point, but I hadn't been wearing the jeans because of it. And now I put them back on. Fortunately, they still fit. I'm just going to do a bit of embroidery on one of my daughter's t-shirts. I bought some transfers, some special embroidery transfers, but you can just draw on a pattern in something that will then wash out, whether it's pencil or a washable pen of some sort. But the other important thing that to do with t-shirt material, because it's stretchy, you don't want it to distort when you're doing it. So I've just ironed on a little bit of interfacing, which basically stops it from stretching because it's quite taut. It doesn't stretch in the same way. I've got a little embroidery hoop. You can do it without, but it will make it easier for me. So you just take the nut and thing apart and put one bit behind, one bit in front. Try and keep it nice and even so it's not stretching one way or the other. So if you can see, I've done that, and then tighten up the ring again, and I will go through a few stitches. When you get some thread, it comes in 6 strands. I don't know if you can see. It's like a little, there are 6 strands in there. And usually for most embroidery, you would use just 2 strands. It means separating it out. So you can either take 2 out of the 6, or you can take 1 and then just double it up on the needle. If you want your pattern to be bolder, then you can use more strands. If you want your French knots, which I'm going to show you in a minute, bigger, then you might want to use more strands. And I'm going to send out some sheets with instructions. But I'm going to do what is essentially called a stem stitch on the line that is the stem, funny enough. So I've chosen a green thread, and I'm just going to go up and, staying on the line, just go backwards, and then again going the same direction. I think this might also be called an outline stitch. If you want it to look a bit more rope-like, you can go off the line, so put a bit of distance instead of going actually on the line, go off the line slightly. And to do the thorns, I don't know if they're thorns or quite what, I'm just going to do a single stitch, carry on with the stem stitch. So as you can see, I've just finished doing the stem and all the little leafy prickle things. So I've just come to the back and I'm just gonna sew through the last stitch once or twice, which basically ties it off and keeps it secure. So for a satin stitch, I'm just going to sew lots of lines next to each other, almost like you're colouring in, but with the thread. And you can start by doing certain sections first if you want, or you can just go straight across. I'm going to do it like this because I've got some different colours in my thread. My thread is kind of multicoloured. And then go back over where I've missed. Now the back will probably be quite messy, but nobody sees the back, so you don't need to worry. So as you can see, I've filled in the flowers. I'm just going to show you a very simple stitch, which is, I think it's called the Lazy Daisy stitch, but it's a way of forming petals. So I'm just going to make it look like a few petals are falling around. So if you have your thread up and through, and if you put your needle back down as though you're going back down where you've come out, and then however big you want the petal to be is where the end of the needle is. You're wrapping the thread around the needle, pulling the needle out, and you've made a little hoop. And then what you need to do is fix it on the other side of the thread, so you can see that's where the thread is. So you want to go on the other side of it and fix that hoop down. So right next to where the needle has come out. I'm just going to do another one. And this stitch also forms the basis of what they call a chain stitch, because it's lots of little links. So I'm putting it right next to where it's come out, pushing it up, wrapping it round, pulling it out, and then to secure the loop, making a stitch down the other side of the thread. And then I'm going to just do another little petal shape right next to this one. So I've pulled the thread so it's going to come out near it. Make a stitch, wrap it round, and then I'll just do a few stitches on the back just to fasten it off. So there you've got. So the last stitch I'm just going to show you is this stitch called a French knot, and I'm taking a tiny stitch just across that little circle. Then what I want to do is wrap the thread around the needle, and I think you normally do it 3 times. If you want bigger knots, you do it more times, and you can also use more thread. If you want smaller knots, you do it less times. So I'm going to do it maybe 6 times. And then holding your thumb or another finger over the whole lot, you can then pull the needle out, and it will create its own little tangle of knot. If you push all of that wound cotton down to the base near the fabric, and then just put your needle back in, and you've made a little knot. So I'll just do the others and then I'll show you. So as you can see, I've just done those 6 little knots, and it's made a pattern and you can feel them. It's quite tactile to touch as well. So that's just to encourage and inspire you to maybe do some embroidery or sewing yourself. I'll also be sending out some sheets with all the different stitches, loads of different ideas and how to do the stitches. So you can look forward to that. Okay, have fun.